Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Paige, welcome. And today I'm going to be answering some of the common questions that I get about my chronic illness. The first question that I get asked often is, does everyone with ehlers-danlos syndrome have gastroparesis or have POTS or so on and so on? And the answer is no. There are common comorbidities that come along with ehlers-danlos syndrome, but not everyone has them at all, and not everyone has the same ones. So each person with ehlers-danlos syndrome could have their own unique experience with their own comorbidities. So no, not everyone with ehlers-danlos syndrome has gastroparesis. Another question that I get asked all the time is, aren't you too young to have a chronic illness? And no, I am not. Health is not ageist. Being young does not equal being healthy. There are many young people who have chronic illnesses and deal with daily problems and symptoms, and yeah. The next question is, how old were you when you first started experiencing symptoms? And I would say that I was about 8 or 10. I was cheering at the time. I was having a lot of back pain and a lot of joint pain, and I was so confused as to why no one else felt that way, why no one else was having that same pain, why I couldn't push through. So I would say about 8 or 10 when I was cheering, that's when I figured out that something was off. And leading into that, a question I get asked often is, if you have this genetic condition that you've had your whole life, why are you just figuring it out now at 23? And I am lucky to have a diagnosis at 23. It is common that people will go their whole young adult lives without a diagnosis, experiencing symptoms, and find out later in their life what is wrong with them. So I'm very lucky to have the diagnosis as young as I do. To answer that question further, I did know that something was wrong with me when I was 8 or 10. The doctors didn't know that something was wrong with me. So I knew that I had something wrong with me pretty much my whole life, while the doctors took a little bit longer to hop on board. So yeah. Why do your abilities change so often? And why do you only use walking aids sometimes? My abilities do change often. They can change every day. They could change by the month. I don't know when they're going to change. I have no control, and I just have to surrender to my chronic illness sometimes. And it changes because I have different issues all the time. I mean, some days I'll be able to get around without a cane. I'll be able to walk from my car to work, or from my car to the cheer practice or around my house. I'll be able to do those things. And there are some days where I can't, whether it is because I don't have the energy to, or the strength to, or I'm dislocating in a spot. It changes so often that so do my needs and my walking aids. And yeah, it's a constantly changing illness, and sometimes you just have to roll with the punches and do what you need to get through the day. So that is why sometimes I have a crutch, sometimes I have a cane, sometimes I have nothing if I have the ability to do so, because I don't love relying on walking aids. It's harder to carry things. I drop them often. It makes me feel like I'm fumbling more. But sometimes I need them and I have to rely on them, and that's okay too with me. So Why do you have a disability parking pass? Because it is easy for me to get around sometimes if I'm parked close enough. Like, for example, if I'm going shopping and I feel like it's a good day, I can get around without a cane. I still want my car to be close by, so having it in a handicapped parking spot means less walking. It means less chance that I can't physically get all the way out to my car. So I need one. That's why. A doctor thought that I needed a disability parking pass, and I did too, and that's why I have one. And people who question me on my disability, the validity of it, and having a parking pass, I understand that my disability is not visible, but it's still none of your business. So please don't ask people about their disability parking passes. You don't know what they're going through. Did cheer affect the severity of your illness? I believe it did. Doctors have said, yeah, it probably did. I can't know for sure, but the injuries that I endured, the amount of impact that I put my body through during my years of cheer, definitely put further damage onto my joints. So yeah, I would say that cheer did affect the severity of my chronic illness. And if I could go back in time, I ask myself often if I would still cheer. And I don't know, because I was so headstrong as a child that I don't think anyone could tell me no. You can't do this. I would probably just do it anyways. I've done that with doctors before. But if I knew that my illness was serious enough, if my parents knew, I might have stopped sooner, or maybe gone easier on myself, not been so competitive. I don't know. Why did you get sick so fast out of nowhere? If it's a genetic condition that you've always had. I have had symptoms in the past that I didn't tell anyone about because I was embarrassed, or I thought that they weren't going to believe me because the doctors didn't, or I just was tired of talking about it with doctors and I didn't want to tell anybody else. But I did get sick really quickly out of nowhere, and that goes back to Cipro. Cipro is an antibiotic that I took I'd say about a year ago now, over a year ago now, and it ruined my life. It made all of my symptoms worse, and it brought me to a point where I got a diagnosis, I got validity in my symptoms, in my illness, and I was finally comfortable sharing more with other people and fighting for what I need from people. And I think that's why it seems like I suddenly got sick. I've always been sick. This Cipro just made it worse. And if you're more interested in Cipro, I made a whole video about Cipro and what it did to me. So please go check that out, and beware of antibiotics that can cause serious side effects. And the last question that I'm going to answer today is, why or how did you lose so much weight? A year ago, more than a year ago, like a year and a half ago, I weighed about 175, and now I weigh about 115. So that's about 60 pounds that I've lost in the past year, year and a half. And I don't know why. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I've had an endoscopy, I've had a colonoscopy, I've had a gastric emptying test, and I don't know why I'm losing weight. I don't know why I'm so nauseous all the time, but I do think that it has something to do with my ehlers-danlos syndrome. I think that it could very possibly be a comorbidity, but it could also be that I changed my diet and stopped eating gluten. I stopped eating red meat. I stopped eating things that hurt my stomach and made me feel terrible. And I think that definitely contributed to my weight loss. I think that my medications could have a lot to do with my nausea and my lack of appetite. So I'm not really sure what's going on with my stomach and with my weight. I just hope that I can balance off and stop losing weight at some point, because I would really hate for things to get to the point where I need a feeding tube or any type of help getting nutrition. I think that would be a really hard situation for me, because I'm already trying to come to terms with my current diagnoses, and adding another one just seems overwhelming to me. But getting answers does seem helpful to me, so I am still looking for answers so I can find a solution to my problem before it gets to that point. But I will keep you guys updated. If I find out why I'm losing so much weight, what is going on with my stomach, I will make a whole video about my weight loss journey, and whatever diagnosis I might find, I will keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions for me, please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to answer your questions about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, about chronic illness in general. So please leave a comment down below asking me anything you'd like. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, do not forget to leave me a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel, and hit the little bell in the corner to get notified every time that I post on Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great day, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.